The sky over the alien world of Varlion turned dark blue as thousands of citizens gathered in the central plaza. Their glowing sky screens flickered with bright red warnings. No one knew what was happening. No one had ever seen the sky screens behave like this. Every person, every family, every shop owner stopped working and stared at the message that appeared in bold white light. New law. Every Varlion woman must marry a human male from Earth. The crowd gasped as if the whole planet had stopped breathing. Nobody understood the law. Nobody expected it. Varlion was a proud, advanced world with strong warriors, powerful scientists, and a long history of independence. So why would their leaders force every woman to choose a husband from another planet? Why humans? Why now? Fear spread like cold wind across the plaza. Some women covered their mouths. Others whispered to their friends, "Is this a joke? This cannot be real. Why humans? What is the council hiding?" Even the sky guards, always calm and controlled, looked nervous. At the center of the crowd stood Lyra, a young alien woman known for her sharp mind and quick anger. She had never trusted the High Council, and today, her suspicion grew stronger than ever. "This law makes no sense," she muttered. "There is something they are not telling us." Her best friend, Senna, trembled beside her. "They say the law starts today." "Today, Lyra. They are matching humans with us right now." Lyra's eyes widened. "Impossible. Humans don't even know about the law." Senna shook her head. "No, they do. The council sent messages to Earth last month." The truth was worse than Lyra imagined. Earth had already received the Varlion request. 1 million human men needed immediately. Not as soldiers. Not as workers. As husbands. Across the galaxy, on the planet Earth, governments were shocked to receive the strange announcement. Human men were confused, scared, and angry as giant alien ships appeared in the sky, landing quietly in major cities. They were told they could volunteer for marriage to save 2 worlds. Some believed it. Some did not. But many were taken anyway, and one of those humans would be assigned to Lyra, but Lyra didn't know that yet. She only knew one thing. She would never marry a human. Never. She turned away from the crowd and headed home. But as soon as she entered her district, she saw soldiers standing outside the houses. Their armor glowed with silver-blue energy, and every soldier held a list. They checked names, then entered homes, pulling out confused women and telling them their assigned match. "No," Lyra whispered. "This is real. All of it is real." She felt her stomach twist. Her heart burned with anger. Then, suddenly, a loud chime echoed through the street. A soldier shouted, "Next name Lyra of House Miravel." Lyra froze, her house. Her name. Senna grabbed her arm. "Run!" But it was too late. 2 soldiers walked toward Lyra with expressionless faces. One held a glowing tablet with her full profile on it. "Lyra," the soldier said, "you have been matched with a human from Earth. You must report to the binding hall within the hour." Lyra stepped back. "I refuse." "It is not optional," the soldier replied. "The law is active. You must comply." "I said I refuse." Lyra shouted, her voice shaking with fury. "I will not marry a stranger from another planet." The soldiers exchanged glances. One took a deep breath and said quietly, "If you refuse, you will lose your citizenship. You will be exiled to the outer wastelands." The wastelands. A deadly place where storms could tear a person apart in minutes. No food, no shelter, no chance of survival. Senna whispered, "Lyra, don't do anything stupid." Lyra clenched her fist so tight her nails dug into her palms. She swallowed her pride, her fear, and her anger. She didn't agree with the law. She didn't trust the council. But she could not die in the wastelands. "Fine," she whispered coldly. "Take me." As the soldiers escorted her, crowds around her whispered, "That's Lyra. She's strong. I thought she'd fight them. Maybe even she cannot escape this law. Lyra kept walking, but inside her mind, a storm was growing. The binding hall was a massive crystal building filled with nervous Varlion women. The atmosphere was silent, heavy, and tense. Screens floated in the air showing images of human men on transport ships. Arriving in fear and confusion, Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine. Suddenly, her screen lit up with the name of her assigned human, Evan Carter, Earth. A small photo of a young human man appeared. He looked normal. Too normal. Brown hair. Determined eyes. Nothing special. Nothing threatening. But as Lyra stared at the screen, something strange happened. A sharp, cold feeling spread across her mind. A whisper, distant but clear, echoed inside her thoughts. He is dangerous. Stay away. Lyra jerked back in shock. Her species was telepathically sensitive, but she had never felt something like this before. Who was this human? Why did her mind feel a warning? What was the council hiding? A new alarm rang across the hall. Human transport arriving. A voice announced. Lyra slowly turned toward the giant entrance doors as they opened, and she saw Evan, her assigned human, being escorted inside. And in that moment, Lyra knew her life would never be the same again. Evan Carter never imagined that his quiet life on Earth would end inside a metal room shaking through space. Only 12 hours earlier, he was leaving the night shift at a small mechanic shop. He had planned to buy food, go home, and sleep. But instead, the sky tore open with blue light, and a Varlion ship appeared above the city like a giant silver blade. Before Evan could run, soldiers surrounded him. He wasn't given a choice. He wasn't given time. A cold device was placed on his neck, and the next thing he remembered, he was waking up inside a transport ship full of confused, frightened men. Now as the ship descended toward Varlion, he stared out through the transparent window. The alien planet glowed with floating cities, crystal towers, and bright silver rings circling the atmosphere. It looked beautiful, too beautiful for a place forcing him to get married. A guard stepped forward. "Earthling, prepare yourself. You have been matched." Evan clenched his jaw. "Matched for what?" "For marriage," the guard said flatly. "Your partner is waiting for you." Evan shook his head. "I didn't agree to this." "You don't need to," the guard replied. "Your world already sent the approval." Evan felt his blood turn cold. "My world? You mean the Earth government agreed to this?" "Yes, they accepted the request. Your population was told this would help both worlds survive." Evan laughed bitterly. "My planet never tells us the real truth." The guard stopped talking. That silence worried Evan even more. As the ship landed, Varlion soldiers grabbed the human men and placed silver collars around their wrists tracking devices. Evan resisted when a soldier tried to grab him, but the alien pushed him forward with surprising strength. "Move," the soldier ordered. Evan followed, but every step felt heavier than the last. He had no idea what waited for him on this alien world. Inside the binding hall. The moment Evan walked into the binding hall, hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. The hall was huge, made of glowing walls and floating screens. Varlion women stood in lines, silent and tense. Some stared with curiosity. Others stared with fear. And many stared with anger. "Why are they watching me like that?" Evan muttered, "Because you are not welcome," a voice in his mind whispered. Evan froze. That voice wasn't his. He quickly looked around, but nobody spoke aloud. His heartbeat quickened. He didn't understand what he had heard, but something inside him felt threatened. A screen suddenly lit up beside him. "Match confirmed. Evan Carter, Lyra of House Maravel." Evan stared at the name. "Lyra? Who is that?" Before he could ask more questions, the doors ahead opened. An alien woman stepped forward, tall, silver-skinned, with bright blue eyes that glowed like cold fire. It was Lyra, but she wasn't looking at him with curiosity or fear. She was looking at him like he was a mistake. Evan took a slow breath. "So, you're the one I'm supposed to marry?" Lyra crossed her arms. "I did not choose this." "Neither did I," Evan replied. For a moment, they both stood in silence. Two strangers, two prisoners of a law they didn't understand. Then Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Do not think this marriage makes us equal. Humans are weak. Varlians do not need humans." Evan raised an eyebrow. "If you don't need humans, why does your planet want 1,000,000 of us?" Lyra said nothing, because she didn't know the answer. But just as Evan stepped closer, a sudden tremor ran across the hall floor. The glowing walls flickered. Screens glitched. A loud alarm echoed through the building. "Warning!" A robotic voice announced. "Unidentified energy surge approaching Varlion airspace." Lyra's face drained of color. Evan frowned. "What does that mean?" Lyra whispered. "It means something is attacking us." The hall erupted into chaos. Soldiers ran toward the exits. The sky outside turned purple with swirling energy. Bolts of lightning cracked through the air like living creatures. Evan watched in shock. "Is this normal?" Lyra grabbed his arm with surprising strength. "No, this is the reason your people were brought here." "What reason?" Before she could answer, the sky outside ripped open and a massive black shape descended. Like a living shadow, the parasite swarm, the thing Varlion feared the most, and the thing only a human could. "Stop!" Lyra tightened her grip. "Evan, if we do not work together, neither of us will survive." For the first time, Evan saw fear in her eyes, and he understood. Whatever brought him here wasn't a marriage request. It was a warning. The binding hall trembled as the sky outside cracked with purple lightning. The alien alarms echoed through every wall, making the floor vibrate under Evan's feet. Soldiers rushed past him, shouting orders, while Lyra watched the skies through the transparent roof with a cold, tense expression. Evan didn't know what was happening. But Lyra did. "They're here," she whispered. "The parasite swarm." Evan frowned. "What are those things?" Lyra didn't answer. She only grabbed his wrist and pulled him behind a protective barrier as another shockwave shook the hall. Even through the shield, Evan could feel the force like a punch in the chest. "You need to listen," Lyra said sharply. "Do not panic. Do not move unless I tell you to. Understand?" Evan pulled his hand back. "Stop commanding me like I'm your soldier. I don't even know what's happening." Lyra's eyes flashed. "You think I want to be matched with you? I am protecting us both." "Protecting?" Evan snapped. "From what?" Another bolt of purple lightning smashed into the city, sending a ripple of energy across the room. Evan stumbled, but Lyra stood firm, her eyes glowing with telepathic focus. It was the first time Evan truly noticed her power-controlled, sharp and fierce. Lyra pointed upward. From them. Evan followed her gaze. A giant creature made of swirling darkness hovered above the city. It looked like a moving shadow with dozens of glowing red eyes shifting across its body. Smaller shadow creatures swarmed around it, diving toward buildings like hungry beasts. What do they want?" Evan asked softly. Lyra answered in a cold whisper. "To infect our minds. To control us. To use our bodies as hosts." Evan's stomach twisted. "And what does this have to do with humans?" he asked. Lyra hesitated. It was clear she didn't want to explain. But before she could speak, two Varlion officials rushed toward them. "Lyra of House Miravel?" One asked urgently. "Yes," she replied. "And this is your assigned human?" Evan stepped forward. "My name is Evan." The second official scanned them both. "Your compatibility reading is the highest of the entire selection group. You must be joined immediately. What does that mean? Evan asked. It means, Lyra muttered bitterly, they want to force our bond before the swarm reaches the inner city. Evan blinked. Bond? Like marriage? Not the romantic kind, Lyra said, rolling her eyes. The telepathic kind. A mental lock between two minds. Evan stared at her. So that's why they want humans? Because aliens can't do this? Lyra's silence answered the question. The official spoke quickly. Human minds are resistant to the parasite control. When bonded to a Varlion woman, the human's mind creates a shield. A strong one. A living one. Evan took a step back. You're telling me I'm supposed to be a shield? It is the only way to stop the parasites, the official said. No, Evan said immediately. I didn't sign up for this. I'm not doing some mind bond thing. Lyra crossed her arms. Then you want us both to die? Evan glared at her. I'm not your enemy. Lyra looked away. Then stop acting like one. Another explosion outside shook the entire hall. The officials pushed Lyra and Evan toward an inner chamber. Hurry! One yelled. The parasites are breaking through the first defense line. The chamber door closed behind them, sealing them inside a circular room filled with glowing blue energy. In the center was a crystal platform. Lyra stepped onto it without hesitation. Evan stayed at the edge. I don't know how to do this, he admitted quietly. Lyra looked at him, and for the first time, her expression softened just a little. You don't need to know, she said. Just trust me. Evan swallowed hard and stepped onto the platform. The moment his feet touched the crystal, light shot upward. A beam wrapped around them like a cocoon. Evan gasped as a warm pressure filled the air. Lyra lifted her hand, offering it to him, not as a command, but a request. Give me your hand, she said. It won't hurt. Evan hesitated, then slowly placed his hand in hers. A sudden burst of energy erupted between their palms. Evan's mind felt like it expanded, stretching outward. He could sense Lyra's emotions, her anger, her fear, and a secret she was hiding deep inside her heart. Lyra gasped. Your mind. It's so clear. Evan felt a pulse of something powerful like a shield forming around them. The glowing chamber shook, and the crystal platform cracked under the pressure. The bond was forming faster than expected. Suddenly, the room lights flickered. A parasite creature slammed into the dome above, trying to break in. Lyra tightened her grip. Hold on, Evan. We're almost there. A flash of blinding white light exploded from the platform. The bond was complete, and somewhere deep inside, the energy link between them. A power neither of them understood had awakened. When the blinding white light finally faded, Lyra and Evan stumbled back from each other, breathing fast. The crystal platform beneath their feet had cracked like thin glass, glowing from the energy they unleashed. Neither of them understood what had happened, but both could feel it. Something inside them had changed forever. Evan blinked hard. Did we just connect minds? Lyra pressed a hand to her temple. Her voice was shaky, almost unsure. Yes, the bond is formed. But this wasn't normal. It was too strong. Too fast. Evan let out a dry laugh. Great, so even our brain link is a problem. But Lyra didn't smile. She felt something else, something heavy. A new pressure inside her mind. A presence. Evan's presence. She could sense his confusion. His anger. His fear. And behind all of it, a strange fire that didn't belong to any human she had ever sensed before. Before they could discuss it, the chamber door burst open and 3 officials hurried inside. One of them gasped. By the stars. Look at the readings. Lyra snapped back to reality. What readings? The official held up a glowing tablet showing 2 swirling blue and gold lines merging into one. This bond, it's 10 times stronger than a normal match. His voice trembled. No pair has ever produced this much mental energy. Evan frowned. What does that mean? The officials exchanged nervous glances. It means your bond could destroy the swarm, one whispered. Evan blinked. Destroy? How? Lyra's eyes narrowed. Stop speaking in riddles. Tell us the truth. The room fell silent. The oldest official stepped forward, his face pale. Very well, he said. You deserve to know everything. He motioned for them to follow. The group moved down a long, dim hallway until they reached a secret chamber filled with ancient holographic recordings. Lyra recognized the place instantly. This is the memory vault, she whispered. Only the council uses it. The official nodded. And now you will too. He activated the first recording. A hologram appeared, showing Varlion centuries ago, bright and peaceful. Suddenly, black shadows swarmed from the sky, consuming everything in their path. Evan stiffened. That's them. The parasites. The official continued. These creatures invaded our world long before humans existed. They fed on minds, controlled our soldiers, and used our bodies to spread. Lyra swallowed hard. She had heard stories as a child, but nothing like this. But the worst part, the official said, is that we could never stop them. Every Varlion mind can be infected. Evan stepped closer. Then how did you survive? The hologram shifted. It showed a strange scene, a human-like figure standing in front of the swarm. The parasites tried to enter his mind, but every attempt bounced off like sparks hitting a shield. Evan stared. Wait, is that? Yes, the official said. A human. Lyra's eyes widened. Impossible. Humans didn't visit Varlion until this century. Humans didn't, the official agreed. But one of your ancient scientists did. He accidentally teleported a human warrior from Earth thousands of years ago. The hologram showed the human fighting alongside Varlions, protecting their thoughts with an invisible barrier. Together, they drove the parasites away for centuries. Evan whispered. So humans were immune even back then. The official nodded. Your minds are shaped differently, your emotions, your structure, your instincts. The parasites cannot control you. Lyra clenched her fists. But why force marriages? The official sighed. Because the human shield works only when bonded to a Varlion woman. A connection. A shared mind. A union. Evan nodded slowly. So the marriage law isn't about population. It's about survival. Yes, the official said softly. Something woke the swarm. They are returning. Their power is greater now. And we had no choice but to call for human partners. Lyra felt her world tilt. Everything she believed the pride of her species. The independence of Varlion had been replaced with a painful truth. They needed humans to survive. Evan looked at Lyra. And for the first time, she didn't see him as weak. She didn't see him as an outsider. She saw someone carrying a burden he never asked for, and yet he was standing here, facing it without running away. The official turned to both of them. Your bond is stronger than any recorded pair. It may be the only thing capable of stopping the swarm leader. Evan lifted his eyebrows. The giant shadow thing with 100 eyes? Yes, the official said quietly. If that creature reaches the capital, the entire planet will fall. A deep rumble shook the vault as if answering the warning. Lyra steadied herself. What do we do now? The official took a deep breath. You will prepare for battle. Lyra's heart raced. Evan's face paled. And somewhere outside, the parasite swarm screamed across the sky, drawing closer with every passing second. The memory vault shook again, this time harder. Dust fell from the crystal ceiling as a deep, distant roar echoed through the city. Evan and Lyra exchanged a tense look. They didn't need the officials to explain it. The swarm had entered the inner zone. The oldest official pressed a glowing symbol on the wall. A secret passage opened, leading them to an underground control chamber buzzing with alarms and panicked voices. Screens showed every corner of the city. Thousands of shadow creatures swarmed down the streets, slipping through walls like smoke. Varlion soldiers attacked with energy spears, but their minds fell one by one as the parasites latched onto them. The official spoke quickly. The outer defense line has fallen. Over 20% of the city is already infected. We have minutes before they reach the capital core. Lyra felt heat rising in her chest. Rage, fear, duty. This is worse than the stories, she whispered. Evan stared at the screens. Those things, they're everywhere. A commander approached them. Your bond must be tested now. If you wait, the swarm leader will overwhelm the entire city. He activated a training simulation. The room filled with floating shapes, glowing targets, and swirling energy waves. But before the simulation even began, a real parasite slammed into the outer wall, cracking it like ice. The commander cursed. There's no time. Skip the test. The wall shattered and a parasite creature crawled inside. It was smaller than the swarm leader, but still terrifying, thin, shadow-like. With needle limbs and glowing red eyes that flickered like fire. It hissed and lunged straight at Lyra. Evan moved on instinct. He grabbed Lyra's arm, pulling her behind him. The parasite struck at Evan's chest, and something unbelievable happened. The creature's claws touched him, but its body dissolved instantly into smoke, burned by invisible force. The commander gasped. Incredible! He repelled it without effort. Lyra stared at him in shock. How did you do that? I don't know, Evan said, breathing hard, but Lyra felt it. A pulse, a surge through the bond. Their minds were connected now, and Evan's instincts were no longer only his own. He was protecting her, because the bond pushed him to. Another parasite squeezed through the broken wall. Evan stepped back automatically, but Lyra moved forward. Her eyes glowed bright blue. Follow my mind. Let our thoughts merge. Evan swallowed hard and nodded. The bond flickered, and suddenly Evan felt Lyra's senses mixing with his. Her strength, her focus, her training. Lyra raised her hand, and a wave of telepathic energy shot out. Evan felt that energy travel through his body too. Together, their power doubled, tripled, exploded. Outward, the parasite hit the wall and evaporated instantly. The commander's mouth fell open. This pair, they could save us all. But outside, the real danger was still approaching. A massive shadow crossed the Capitol dome. The swarm leader, bigger than any living creature they had ever recorded, descended slowly. Its glowing eyes leaving streaks of red across the sky. It let out a scream so sharp the entire control chamber shook. The officials panicked. It's breaking through the mind barrier. It's going after the strongest minds first. All units retreat to the core. The commander turned to Lyra and Evan. We must evacuate you to the central fortress. If your bond breaks, everything collapses. Evan wiped sweat from his forehead. How do we fight that thing? You can't, the commander said honestly. Not yet. Lyra bristled. Then what's the plan? The commander stared at her, then at Evan. You run. Lyra stepped forward aggressively. I will not run. You must, he insisted. If the leader captures you, it will break Evan's mind and kill your bond. If the bond dies, the planet dies. Evan felt a cold shiver. So we're the last hope. Yes, the commander whispered, but before anyone could move, the building shook violently. A huge hole ripped through the ceiling as a parasite tentacle crashed inside. Soldiers were thrown across the room. Alarms screamed. Lights exploded. The swarm leader's voice, deep, ancient, terrifying, echoed through every mind. Found. You, Evan clutched his head as the dark presence pushed against his thoughts. Lyra grabbed him. Stay with me. Block it out. I'm trying. Evan groaned in pain. The commander yelled, "Get them out. Get them to the fortress now." But the swarm leaders slammed another tentacle through the chamber. Soldiers fell screaming as shadows invaded their minds. Lyra dragged Evan toward the exit, using her telepathic force to push away the smaller parasites. Evan tried to stay conscious, but the leader's voice hammered into his head like a storm. "Evan!" Lyra shouted. "Don't let it in." Evan forced himself to focus on her voice, her touch, her presence in his mind. The bond glowed like a burning light between them. And the swarm leader's pressure suddenly cracked and recoiled. Lyra's eyes widened. "You pushed it back." Evan gasped for air. Not for long. Together, they ran through the collapsing hall as the swarm flooded in behind them. They had survived the first wave, but the real battle was only beginning. Asterisk smoke filled the corridor as Lyra dragged Evan through the wreckage of the collapsing control chamber. Behind them, the swarm leader's roar shook the walls, sending dust and sparks raining from the ceiling. Evan's legs barely held him up. His vision blurred every few seconds as the parasite pressure tried to worm its way into his thoughts. "Stay awake," Lyra shouted, pulling his arm over her shoulder. "I'm trying," Evan muttered, stumbling. "But that thing, its voice, it feels like knives in my brain." Lyra tightened her grip on him. "Then hold on to my mind instead. Use the bond." Evan forced himself to focus. He reached into the connection between them. He imagined holding a rope. The rope was Lyra, pulling him forward, refusing to let the darkness swallow him, and it worked. The pressure weakened, just enough for him to breathe. They reached a lift chamber, where panicked Varlion civilians crowded together, trying to escape underground. Soldiers ushered them in, shouting orders. "Get to the fortress." "Move!" Lyra pushed Evan into the lift with the others. But just as she stepped inside, a soldier blocked her path. "Lyra of House Miravel, you and the human must come with me." Evan frowned. "What's happening now?" The soldier replied quickly. "The council ordered a special escort. You two are too important to leave with civilians. Follow me." He led them down a separate hallway into a transport tunnel. But something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too empty. Evan whispered, "Lyra, are you sure we should trust him?" She didn't answer at first. Her eyes studied the soldier's movements, too stiff, too precise. Then she spoke softly, "No." Before Evan could react, Lyra grabbed him and shoved him behind a pillar. The soldier turned sharply. His eyes glowed red. Not a soldier. A parasite puppet. It lunged. Lyra reacted instantly, raising both hands as a blast of blue psychic force shot from her palms. But the puppet twisted unnaturally, dodging her attack, and sprinted toward Evan. Evan didn't think. He instinctively raised his arm. A shockwave burst from him, blasting the creature back into the wall so hard the metal bent inward. Lyra stared at him. "Your power is growing." Evan shook his head. "I didn't even do that on purpose." The puppet rose again, bones cracking into new positions, body twitching. It sprinted toward them with impossible speed. Lyra grabbed Evan's wrist. "We do this together. Follow my mind now." Their connection flared to life. Evan felt Lyra's thoughts blend with his like two streams merging into a powerful river. He could sense her focus, her instincts, her calm in battle. She could sense his raw strength, his stubborn will. Together, they pushed. A joint wave of golden blue energy erupted from them, hitting the parasite puppet so hard it shattered into dust. Evan staggered. "Did we just combine powers?" Lyra helped him stand. "Yes, and if we can control it, we may survive the leader." Alarms blared again overhead. A robotic voice echoed through the tunnel. "Warning. Swarm entering the central district. Fortress shields failing." Evan clenched his fists. "We need to get there fast." But Lyra hesitated. A flicker of doubt crossed her face. Our bond. It is unstable. If we push too hard, one of our minds might break. Evan met her eyes. You saved me. Let me save you too. Lyra exhaled slowly. Then stay close. Feel what I feel. Move when I move. They ran through the tunnel, dodging falling debris. Parasites seeped from cracks in the walls like black smoke, but every time one lunged, the combined shield around Lyra and Evan forced it back, but each attack drained Evan a little more. His breathing grew heavy. His vision flickered. Lyra noticed. She grabbed his hand. Stay with me. The bond feeds on trust. Don't pull away. Evan focused on her voice again, steady, sharp, determined. The bond glowed stronger. His steps steadied. Finally, they reached the exit, tunnel leading to the fortress. But the sight outside froze them both. The fortress shields were collapsing like broken glass. The swarm leader hovered above it, its enormous form spreading across the sky like a storm. Red eyes blinked across its surface, hundreds of them, all focused on the fortress below. Lyra whispered, "We're too late." Evan swallowed hard. "No, we're not." Because the swarm leader turned slowly and looked directly at them. A voice exploded inside their minds, louder than thunder. "Come to me, bonded ones." Evan fell to his knees, screaming in pain. Lyra grabbed him, pulling him against her. "Fight it, Evan. Don't let it in." I can't." Evan gasped, trembling. "It's too strong." Lyra placed her forehead against his. "Listen to me. You are not alone. I am here. Push with me." Their bond lit up like a burning sun. A wave of light exploded outward, pushing back the parasite pressure for just a moment. Evan gasped, "Lyra, I felt that. We can hurt it." Lyra nodded slowly, fear fading from her eyes. "Yes, together." Behind them, the swarm leader screamed furiously. Ahead of them, the fortress burned dot, and between these two worlds of shadow and light, Lyra and Evan stood ready for the final battle. Asterisk. The sky over Varlion was no longer blue. It was a battlefield painted in black smoke, purple lightning, and the blood-red glow of the swarm leader's eyes. The fortress below cracked under pressure as hundreds of parasites swarmed around it like starving beasts. But in the middle of this destruction, Lyra and Evan stood together, side by side, their bond glowing like a burning star. Evan wiped blood from his nose, breathing hard. "Lyra, if we don't stop that thing now, the whole planet is done." Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. "Then we stop it now." "But how?" he whispered. Lyra stared up at the leader, its massive form stretching across half the sky. "We attack its mind, together." Evan swallowed. "If we fail..." Lyra lifted her chin. "Then we die saving two worlds." For the first time since their forced marriage, Evan saw her not as an alien woman forced into a bond, but as a warrior willing to face the impossible. And Lyra saw Evan not as a weak human, but as the only person brave enough to stand beside her at the end of all things. They stepped forward. The swarm leader roared, a sound so deep it made the ground shake. Dozens of parasite shadows dropped from its body and lunged toward them. Lyra squeezed Evan's hand. "Stay with me now." Their bond flared. A dome of golden blue light burst around them. Parasites slammed into it, burned like sparks against a star, and vanished in smoke. But the pressure increased, tightening like a vice around their minds. Evan winced. "It's pushing harder." Lyra grit her teeth. "Push back." The leader's voice thundered inside their minds. "You cannot hide from me. Your minds belong to the swarm." Evan felt darkness creeping into his thoughts like cold fog. He saw visions, ruined cities, infected soldiers, bodies controlled like puppets. His knees shook. "Lyra, I'm losing it." Lyra grabbed his face, her voice firm. "Look at me, Evan. Look only at me." Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the chaos around them faded. Lyra whispered, "You are not weak. You are the shield. I need you." Those words lit something in Evan's chest, something fierce and bright. He took her hand again, and the bond roared to life. Together, they stepped forward toward the swarm leader. The final mind-clash beam of red energy shot from the leader's central eye. It struck their shield with a force that cracked the air like thunder. Evan cried out. Lyra nearly collapsed. The leader laughed, a deep, sickening sound inside their skulls. "Your minds will break." Evan clenched his fists. "Not today." He pushed deeper into the bond. He felt Lyra's strength, her resolve, her fire. And she felt his determination, his defiance, his stubborn human courage. Their minds merged, fully one consciousness, one energy. Lyra and Evan rose slowly into the air. Lifted by the power of their combined thoughts, the leader screamed. The city lights flickered, the sky shattered with psychic energy. Lyra shouted, her voice shaking the ground. "Evan, together, now!" They thrust their hands forward. A massive wave of golden blue energy exploded outward, like a sun being born. The swarm leader shrieked as the light tore through its shadowy form. Red eyes burst one by one like dying stars. The smaller parasites vaporized instantly, their bodies dissolving into harmless ash. The leader lunged, desperate. Wounded. Evan felt its claws scrape against his mind, but he didn't fall. Lyra pressed closer to him, their foreheads touching. "One more push," Evan shouted. "For Earth. For Varlion." They unleashed the final blast, a beam so bright it lit the entire planet. The swarm leader wailed in agony, its body tearing apart piece by piece until finally, with a deafening burst of light, it exploded. Silence followed. Real, complete silence. Then the sky slowly returned to blue. As the last of the parasites vanished like dust in the wind, Varlion was free. Aftermath. Lyra and Evan fell to the ground, exhausted but alive. Soldiers and civilians slowly stepped out of hiding, staring at them in awe. A Varlion commander approached, voice shaking. "You too saved us." Evan laughed weakly. "Not how I expected my day to go." Lyra smiled faintly. "Not how I expected my marriage to go." The commander bowed deeply. "From this day on, humans will be honored on Varlion. And you too will be remembered forever." Evan looked at Lyra, unsure. "So, what happens to us now?" Lyra met his eyes. "In our bond, I saw your courage, your pain, your truth. And I saw your heart." Evan swallowed. "And I saw yours." Lyra took his hand, this time not because of duty, not because of fear, but because she wanted to. "We started as strangers forced into a law," she said. "But we ended as two people who chose to fight together." Evan squeezed her hand back. "Not just fight," he said softly. "Win." The wind blew gently across the quiet city. For the first time in years, Varlion felt peace. And among the ruins of battle, surrounded by grateful citizens and a clear new sky, Lyra and Evan stood together, two souls from two worlds, bonded not by force but by fate. Their story had begun with a law. It ended with a legend.